First 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that first 5 minutes.
First
man.
5 minutes, I had to turn my camera off for 5 minutes. I was crying like a little baby.
So this week's question of the week comes in from Stephen Keeley. Actually, again, I feel bad for reading his comment now. I could have picked somebody else. Oh, well, Stephen gets a double dip this week. And Stephen asks us, what game or scene actually has given you a strong feeling or reaction? Dom finding his wife and what he does after that in Gears of War honestly made me feel gutted for the character. So clearly this is like, what scene in a video game really struck you, hit home? I think I have a really obvious one, but I'm going to ask you guys. We won't dissect the scene too much, but I think if we throw out the scenes, people will generally know what we're talking about. So, John, what about you?
Ori and the Blind Forest. First 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that first 5 minutes.
First
man.
5 minutes, I had to turn my camera off for 5 minutes. I was crying like a little baby.
That is heart-wrenching.
I
I
lost my grandfather last year and I lost my mother 9 years ago, but the way it played out, I was just like, nope, can't do this.
Yeah.
This hits me too hard.
Yeah, and you know it's coming as well. Even the first time you play it, you're like, oh, this is not going to end well, and then they just pull it out. Oh.
Like, I think if my VOD was still there, like, the run up to it, I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, you did it.
No, it wasn't. He did it. They did it.
Yeah.
I replayed that recently, and it's still as impactful, even though I knew it was coming. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Shane, what about you?
I have one very obvious one, which harkens back to something we were talking about earlier on. It is, of course, the opening of The Last of Us, the Joel incident. Which,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, say what you will about the gameplay of that game and stuff, but in terms of a story and that scene, like, that was primo storytelling and delivered.
Yes.
That first, like, opening half an hour is fantastic. You know, that's... I have my problems with The Last of Us as a game, you know, mechanics-wise and stuff.
But the story is not one.
Yeah. And that half an hour is just like you walking around as a little girl and you're discovering things, and there's very little mechanically going on. So it's just story, and like it's all happening around you, and you're really just controlling a camera. But like, spoilers for the first half an hour of a game, but like Joel, girl in the arms, like holy crap, that really did hit hard. And I think that was a feeling I think that the second game tried to
emulate but failed.
And not only in the first half an hour, but like throughout the entire game, it felt like every hour there was another like heart-wrenching moment that like for me just kind of wore me down more so than made it impactful. But that was going to be my choice too. So double whammy with the first half an hour of The Last of Us.
I do have one that's not a sad one, because we've all chosen sad ones, and another one that kind of made me go, oh fuck, oh crap, like I didn't see that coming at all. Maybe it was my idiot teenage brain or whatever, but BioShock Infinite, the big twist in BioShock Infinite, the whole thing you discover in BioShock Infinite. My tiny little mind was like, you know? And it's just an example of a scene that got me without being a sad scene. You know, it got me in a different way with a different emotion. Rather than sadness, it was like mind melt, or what, I did not see this coming.
I think that's like a lot of people look back fondly on that game, and I think that's a big part of the reason.
Yes, definitely.
You know, that twist really does pay off in the end. But that's a good example.
Diablo 3 as well. The plot to Diablo 3 really hit me.
Oh really?
Yeah, it got me hard. I became a spoiler for anyone that hasn't played Diablo 3. It's out a long time. You really should have. The fact that you're building up with Leah so much throughout the game, and then she becomes the embodiment and the reincarnation of Diablo. I was just like, what the hell? It's like you could see you would drop hints here and there, but they never alluded to it, and then it just happened, and I was like, no.
It's really cliche as well. I never played Diablo 3, sorry, I'm not talking about that, just in case you were going to jump through your camera.
Spoilers, I am sorry.
At a game you were discussing earlier, Final Fantasy VII, like it's really cliche to bring up the example, but like I remember being 10 years old and Aerith getting murdered and going like, I've spent so much time leveling up this character at this point, and they've just straight up murdered her. I was like, what the hell? Like, and that actually took me back. I was like, no, she's coming back.
Yeah.
No, she's gonna be an hour's time. I'm gonna walk around the corner. She'll be there, and it never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know? I intentionally didn't say Final Fantasy VII because of how, like, on Herds and Nerds, like, if I even breach the subject of Final Fantasy VII, they have to shut me off. Like, this podcast will go on until 2 a.m. And there's nothing usual to do.
Makes me think, I feel bad now if I ruined anything for anyone that's going to play the remake, but it does look like they're going a different direction there, so it's probably not as much of a
My dude, if somebody hasn't played the original, if they played the remake, there is something wrong. I apologize if I have just offended anyone, but get your arse in gear and play the original. It's better.
It still holds up. With that, I think we've gotten a lot of good selections there. We have The Last of Us, we had Ori and the Blind Forest, we had Diablo 3, and we had Final Fantasy 7, and Bioshock Infinite.